Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 72 of the More in You podcast. How are you doing today? So, today I have another phenomenal episode for you. And, as I thought of what this week's episode was going to be, there was something I saw online that really did inspire today's episode. My topic today is 4 reasons why you must not give up on your dreams. I know, well, actually, last week I was scrolling on Facebook, I was just I was on Facebook just scrolling through people's feeds. And as I was scrolling, I came across this article that spoke about how Steve Harvey got his big break just before he turned 40. For those of you that might not know who Steve Harvey is a young, I would say young, he's turning, I think, 66. He's turning sometime this month. He's turning 66. But why I call him young is because the guy that is still young at heart. But that's not really where I'm going. Where I'm going is that as I read his story, he was talking about how he got his big break just before he turned 40. But when I look at, what I've known about Steve Harvey, he's a man that, that has come from a place of, how would I put it? A place of rags to riches. But his story is really interesting. He's been on the scene for maybe 26, 27 years. But I said, as I scrolled through that story, I said to my husband, you see this guy and you just assume that he's been like this his whole life. But when you look back at the things that he's gone through, that's when you really begin to see. And why am I sharing that? Often when people have a dream, I'm talking to them about why you must not give up on your dreams. Often when people have a dream, you often would think, oh, my dream is going to come to pass right now. And sometimes when it doesn't come to pass right now, at the timing that you are thinking, at the time that you had in mind for it to come to pass, sometimes we put it by the wayside, sometimes we discard it. And I just want to encourage you today to hold on to every dream you have. When I go back to that story of Steve Harvey, like I mentioned earlier, he was a man who had gone through, when you read his story, he was raised in a certain part of the US, and then growing up, he grew up in Cleveland, Ohio. And I still remember he's always had this dream of being on TV. He said when he was younger, there was time they asked him to do a project at school. And one of his teacher at the time, the project when he did what the project was about was, what do you want to be when you grow up? And his thing was he wanted to be on TV. And the woman asked him, his teacher asked him, is anyone in your house on TV? He's like, no. Is anyone in your family on TV? He said, no. He said, then who said you can be on TV? What the teacher was looking at was, she was looking at where he was currently at that time. She looked at, she's like, there's no way you're going to be on TV. And he said he remembered going home. And so she gave him the option of maybe going to rewrite the paper that he had written. And he remembered going home and speaking to his dad and, just sharing that with his dad. And his dad said to him, you have two options. You can either believe your teacher that you can't be who you say you're going to be and discard this dream, or you can keep that dream to yourself and just believe that dream, that God is going to bring it to pass. And he said he chose to believe that God was going to bring it to pass. He didn't even know how. But he said he kept like a piece of paper in his wallet just to remind him of that incident, that he was going to be on TV. And many, many more years later, he actually didn't even finish high school. That was the, really interesting part. But, he went on to do a lot of sales. He worked in sales on a lot of jobs. But at one point in his life, I think it was 1994, he came into a place whereby he came into a place whereby he applied for like a stand-up comedy, he applied for like a comedy skit kind of, and he was picked. And what happened was he got a break kind of, and that was how his career in comedy started. That was how he started to appear on comedy shows. There were times that he would go, they didn't have a place for him to sleep. He would sleep in his car. For about 3 years, he was homeless. He said in fact, there were times that he had to go to the gas station. He would take gas without paying for it. There were things that he did, but what he said was that he just knew he had that dream that he was going to be on TV. And he began to do little things. He began to do everything that he could do to ensure that dream came to pass. Why am I sharing that with you? Often when people have a dream, the possibility looks so impossible. Like there's really no possibility there. That's really how to put it. It looks so impossible. But every time I read his story, I read the story of where he said he would take showers in the swimming, in public swimming pools. Sometimes at gas stations, he would take showers. Just, in the midst of living out that dream. So dreams, sometimes when you have a dream, when God gives you a dream, it might look like, oh, like I know God, I see myself doing this. He said, I'm going to establish this business and this is going to come to pass. And sometimes there are challenges along the way. But if you and I would just hold on, even in the midst of challenges, and just believe God. And at the point where we are, we can begin to do things in line with getting to the realization of that dream. If you will just hold on and trust God, guess what? In God's timing, He would bring that dream to pass. And guess what? Zimbabwe went through that season of all of those things, being homeless, just from one gig to another. Some would work out, some wouldn't work out. But guess what? After a while, I think it was 1996, 1994 he started, then 1996 he got a big break. He had a show on TV, he had the Steve Harvey show. I remember watching that show growing up, it was so interesting. And, he went on to do Family Feud. He does a lot on TV. Today, he's live on TV. Now, this is so many more years after he's had those dreams, now it's decades. But guess what? I just wanted to use his story to encourage you that no matter where you are right now, do you have dreams that God has put in your heart that you're trusting God for, that they're going to come to pass? And it looks so impossible. Please do not give up on those dreams. And I have four reasons that I wrote here to say why you must not give up on those dreams. Number one reason is that your dreams are valid. So if God has given you a dream, those dreams are valid. God that gave them to you will bring them to pass. Somebody might have a dream that, I see myself open up a chain of schools. Somebody might say, I see myself open up an orphanage. That's one of the dreams they might have, that I'm going to have an orphanage sometime in the future, because I've always loved, outreach. I've always loved to, when I was younger, like when I was really, really young, a friend of mine and I used to go to orphanages growing up in Nigeria. And I've always said that, in a couple of years, I would really love to have an orphanage whereby I can give back, but actually be able to have that whereby I can give back to children that maybe they don't even have parents, they don't have moms or dads, but at least somebody can open that up. And I know it will come to pass. You could have, you could have seen yourself just doing phenomenal things, but right now it looks like where you are doesn't even look like where you're going. But I want to encourage you, and saying that dream is valid, hold on to it. There's a story of a young man in the Word of God called Joseph. And Joseph was a man that had a dream. Nobody believed in his dream. His brothers laughed at him. His father hid that dream in his heart, not even knowing how that dream was going to come to pass. But he still kind of believed that, okay, maybe Joseph's dream was real, but he didn't know how that would work out. But guess what? 13 years after Joseph had a dream, he had gone through different challenges in his life. He was taken out of a land where he was used to, a country was used to, and sold into slavery. He was accused wrongly. He was put in prison. He was and guess what? At the very end, guess what? God vindicated him in all of that. Why am I sharing that story? Because when you have a dream, it doesn't mean that from start to finish, everything is going to go, everything is going to go just smoothly. There would be challenges. That's just the truth. But if you have that dream, if you have that vision, God has shown it to you. These are the things I'm calling you to do. I'm going to help you do these things. Guess what? As much as there are impossibilities, as much as it looks so impossible, you can always hold on to it. I want to encourage somebody by saying it's not time to quit. It's time to keep going. Do you have a dream that God has laid on your heart? It's time to keep going. What can you do where you are right now to ensure that you keep going? It might be little steps that you can put in place. They might not even be big things that you can put in place, but guess what? You must not give up on that dream. Remember, I just shared Steve Harvey's story. I shared Joseph's story. It is not time to give up on that dreams. Another thing I want to share, another point I want to share, why you must 4 reasons why you must not give up on you, because your dream is meant to inspire somebody else. Whenever we read Joseph's story, what does it do? It inspires you that, you know what, if Joseph could go through this season and he could come through, I can come through. There's another lady, I was reading her story. I read her story a couple of years ago, and I've shared her story with a few people that I know, because her story was really interesting. Her name is Sarah Holland. She was a lady that, from when she was really little, she always aspired to she wanted to be Miss America. And, she wanted to be, that was her dream growing up. And as she got a little bit older, she entered into the pageants. At the time, I think she was living in, she was living in Florida. So she put in for Miss Florida. She won that. She put in for, remember, her really was what she really wanted to do was to become Miss World, but she had to start from somewhere. So she won Miss Florida. She did the pageant the very next year. She won, I think it was first runner-up, she won. And then after a while, she decided to move to another state. I think she moved to Kansas. And after she moved to that state, she changed some things over. And then she began to, get into the pageants again. She won again. But she was winning at the state level. So why am I sharing that story? Wherever you are right now, you can start with baby steps. The dream might look impossible, but where you are right now, what can you begin to do to help you to bring that dream to pass? What are the little steps that you can begin to do? So she put in for the state pageant, and she won that. But because her dream was Miss World, then she began to, she began to think, what can I do? And guess what? Eventually, I think she won one of the she eventually won Miss America a couple of years later. And then somebody asked her a question when she won that competition. They said to her, what was your secret? How were you able to win Miss America, even though you were there for Miss World? And she said, what happened was that when she moved to Kansas, after she won, she had won Miss Florida, she had won in Kansas, she now went and she got videos. She said she got lots of videos on state pageants. She got videos on local pageants. She got videos on state pageants. So local, state. She got Miss Universe pageants. She said she got videos, all types of videos on pageants. And that she would watch and watch and watch. And she would imagine herself walking down the stage. She would practice. She would see what they're doing. She learned a lot. She was just putting in the work. She was learning. She was changing her mindset. She was just believing that she could win that pageant. And guess what? Eventually, at the end of 1997, I think it was, she won that pageant. But guess what? She had already seen herself winning that pageant even before she got there. So even when God drops a dream in your heart, the place of our imagination is so powerful. For some of us, we never get to that, the realization of that dream, because we don't even see ourselves in that dream. So my question, that I want to ask you is, the dreams that God is dropping in your heart, the things that He's calling you to, the things that He's saying, you're going to do, can you see yourself doing them? Can you visualize yourself? Because if you don't see yourself, if you can't see yourself doing them, there is almost no way you're going to get there. As human beings, we're not designed to go where we cannot see. We're not designed to go where we can imagine. We're not, because often what happens that you would have actually seen the dreams in your imagination. You would have actually visualized it. You would have seen yourself doing those things before you actually begin to do them in reality. So you have to be able to see them. You have to be able to visualize them. You have to be able to imagine them. I think it's Albert Einstein that says that imagination is the preview of life's coming attraction. Yes, it's Albert Einstein. So you have to be able to see those dreams come alive. You have to be able to visualize them. How do I get to this place? What are the things I can do? You need to begin to ask yourself questions. What are the things that I can do, that can take? What are the baby steps I can take right now? God is dropping the dreams. I want to start this chain of businesses. God is dropping this idea. I want to start this chain of schools. God is dropping this idea. I'm going to be the CEO of this. God is dropping this in my heart. God is dropping this dream. but what am I going to be committed to doing? How can I even see myself becoming that? Or do I need to change my mindset? If my mindset is wrong, maybe I need to change what I'm thinking. Maybe I need to change what I'm believing. Do I even believe I can get to that place God is saying I'm able to get to? So there's a whole lot of things that go into you, holding on to those dreams. You need to change your mindset. You need to believe that you can get there. You need to see yourself getting there before you actually physically get there. Another thing that I want to mention about your dream, that you can't afford to give up on that dream, because those dreams help you to preview some of the things God wants to do in your life. When He gives you those dreams, He's just giving you a preview of the other things that He's said to do. He's giving you a preview and saying, just look at the things that I want to bring into your life. Look at this is a preview of the things I want to do. That was what happened with Joseph. God gave him a preview of his future. And so your dreams are a preview of your future. Your dreams are a preview of your future. You can actually hold them up. You can put them on a vision board. You can believe them. You can see them. But you have to do something with those dreams. You can't just say, okay, God gave me a dream, I'm going to do this, and then you just put it in a book and shut it. No. You have to go to work. You have to work on it. You have to do things. You have to believe it. You have to change your mindset towards it. You have to hold it as real. You have to look at things that you can begin to do that would help you to get to that place. It's so important. And the fourth thing I wanted to share, of 4 reasons, the fourth reason of why you cannot give up on your dream, is that those dreams keep you focused. Our dreams help to keep us focused. Our dreams and visions help to keep our eyes on where God is taking us. So what happens when you get a dream from God? What happens? You get excited. You're like, yes, I can see it. And like I said, you might not be in it right now, but you can always remind yourself. I'm sure what happened with Joseph while he was in that prison was he was thinking, you know what? God showed me a dream. This is where I'm going to happen. This is what's going to happen. So these people are going to bow down to me. This and this is going to happen. He didn't even understand what the dream meant. He didn't really know how it was going to come to pass. But he knew, and that dream must have kept him alive while he was in the prison. That dream must have kept him alive while he was, while he might have almost gone into depression, because going from your father's house to going through all the things that Joseph went through, it must have kept him alive. It must have kept him going, just thinking, you know what, if I can just hold on, I'm going to get to this place God is saying I'm going to get to. If I can just hold on, I'm going to get there. I am going to get there. If I can just hold on, I am going to get there. And so I want to encourage you, those dreams that God has given you, it's time to, maybe you've locked them away. Somebody might have discarded them. But I want to say to you, you cannot afford to give up on those dreams, because your dreams are there to inspire someone else. Your dreams are there to keep you focused. Your dreams are there to see the preview of what God wants to do in your life. Your part in it, though, is that you and I must keep learning. You must begin to ask yourself questions. How can I keep seeing myself at this level? How can I keep growing? How can I keep investing in myself? I must keep investing in myself. I must keep growing. I must keep learning. Somebody must say, I must keep believing that the dream is valid. I must keep believing that God is able to bring it to pass. One of my favorite scriptures is Ephesians 3:20, where it says, and God, God is able to do exceeding abundantly above more than you ask, think, imagine. I think the AM version that says that. Imagine, dream. My question to you is that, what are you able to dream? What are you able to imagine? What are you able to bring for those things that God has dropped in your heart? What are you doing with them? Are you imagining what those dreams will look like when you arrive at them? What do you think what do you think how do you think you're going to feel when you get to those dreams and you see the reality of them? How you're going to feel is determined by what you do today. So can you start today by thinking, what little steps can I put in place? What action steps can I put in place? For every dream God has deposited in my heart, can I start baby steps on it? I remember for everything that God has called me to do, I've had to start with baby steps, even when I didn't know how. For everything always starts as a seed, just like we know, everything starts as a seed. So now the seed is, okay, I have a seed of the dream. The dream is a seed. But now as you begin to ponder on it, the seed begins to grow. It begins to grow. You're imagining it. You're taking action. You're taking baby steps. It might look like they're baby steps, but guess what? Eventually, they're going to become bigger steps. and eventually you're going to see the reality of that dream. But you and I are going to have to put in the work. Nobody can put in the work for you. So those dreams that God has given you, that you've put away, could you maybe pull them out? Could you, begin to ask yourself questions? What am I going to do to ensure the fulfillment of this dream? Like my own part, what is my part going to be? What part am I going to play in ensuring that these dreams that God has given me do not die, they actually come to light? And you might also want to look, who are the people that might be able to help me on this journey? Look around you and begin to see, because the place of imagination is also imagining people that God is going to send to help you. Be open to what God wants to do. Be open to what He wants to show you. Be open to how He wants to lead you. But you must first of all be willing to not give up on those dreams, and then the steps begin to take place. Especially at this time, it's getting to the end of the year. There's so much we can do. It's not time to give up on your dream. It's not time to quit. It's time to keep going. And for those of you that might prefer to watch, some of you might be just be listening on the podcast. Maybe you're listening on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. I want to also mention that I have this on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, Oluwalabode the Purpose Midwife. So if you're not watching, if you're just listening, you can go over to my YouTube channel if you want to watch the video version of this podcast. Remember to share with other people. Remember to subscribe to the channel while you're there. Just seeing you guys subscribe to it makes me want to even do more videos. It's an encouragement. So while you're there, please subscribe to it. Share this video with someone that you know that it would help. Someone that you know that is almost giving up on their dreams. Are there 2 or 3 people that you can share this video with that would really, really, really encourage them, knowing that it's not time to quit, it's time to keep going? Have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful rest of your week. Bye.